Daniel Sports Central, we go over an NFL game preview and prediction on the wild card round matchup between the LA Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Both teams have had outstanding seasons getting to this point. The Chargers being a team that is potentially the biggest dark horse in the playoffs this season. They're 10-7 heading into this matchup. They got Justin Herbert in the playoffs for the first time, and this is a team that I think you should keep an eye on. They're taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and not going to be an easy matchup. The Jaguars are one of the hottest teams heading into the playoffs. This team this is their first playoff appearance since 2017. They've been a bottom feeder in the league the past couple of seasons, but here they are with Trevor Lawrence once again in the NFL playoffs. We'll be covering a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting with your team trends. The Chargers lost to the Denver Broncos on the road, 28-31 was the final score. So that was the last game of the regular season for the Chargers. Obviously a disappointing loss, Denver being one of the worst teams in the league this season, but Chargers still a solid team. They're 10-7. They've won 4 of their past 5, and I'm honestly not too concerned about that Broncos loss. Yeah, you want to win that game, but this is still a team that's won 4 of their past 5, and they're 10-7 heading into this matchup. And as for Jacksonville, this team is, they're on a 5-game winning streak heading into this matchup. They beat the Tennessee Titans to finish out the regular season. A win-and-in game there for the Jaguars, and they got it done. 20-16 was the final. 9-8 on the season once again. Considering where Jacksonville has been the past couple of years, this team, they were in the playoffs in 2017. That was the year that they were a potential surprise team. They made it to the AFC Championship, and since then this team has just been terrible. But this year this team has really shown improvement, especially down the stretch. They are playing their best ball right now. Games be on Saturday, January 14th in Jacksonville, Florida. Kickoff is 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Spread's going with the Chargers by 2. Over-under's 47.5. And the FPI is going with Jacksonville here, 58.6%. So the spread and the FPI are disagreeing with each other here. Spread going with the Chargers, FPI going with the Jags. Series history, the Chargers lead at 9-4. Jacksonville won the last matchup, but the Chargers have won 3 out of the past 5. Stat comparison, Chargers are 13th in points per game, 21st in points allowed. They're 3rd in passers a game, so a strong passing team here in the Chargers with Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's thrown for over 4,700 yards this season. He's had a great year, 25 touchdowns. Has thrown 10 interceptions, which is more than you'd like, but still 4,700 yards. He's had a great year. They're 30th in rush yards a game, Austin Eckler being the lead rusher, who scores a lot of touchdowns, but he hasn't really rushed for a whole lot of yards. He's rushed for 900 yards, 13 touchdowns. He's scored plenty of touchdowns, that's for sure. And for yards allowed, they're 7th in passing, 28th in rushing. So rush defense has been a weakness for the Chargers, and they're going up against Travis Etienne, who's had a great season for the Jaguars. If you look at Travis Etienne, he's rushed for over 1,100 yards this season. You obviously got Trevor Lawrence, who has been a great passer this season, over 4,100 yards, along with 25 touchdowns, over 8 picks. But for the Jaguars, this team is kind of a middle-of-the-road team statistically. They are 10th in points per game, 12th in points allowed. They're 10th in passer game, 14th in rush yards. And then, once again, for the defensive side of the ball, this team is 20th in pass defense and then 12th in rush defense. Your recent matchups, the Chargers lost the Broncos 28-31. They took down the Rams 31-10. That was in Week 17. They beat the Colts on the road 20-3. They beat the Titans 17-14 and also beat the Miami Dolphins 23-17. As for the Jaguars, this team has won 5 straight once again. They beat the Titans 20-16, beat the Texans 31-3. Dominant win over the Jets 19-3. They beat the Cowboys in overtime. That was an impressive win there, 40-34. And they also beat the Tennessee Titans on the road back on December 11th, 36-22. So they swept the Titans this season. Key points, Chargers 10-7. This team has won 4 of their last 5. So once again, this team has been playing well down the stretch despite their loss in Week 18 to Denver. But this is Justin Herbert's first NFL playoff appearance. And he's a quarterback that has proven that, he's the Chargers guy, and he's going to be around for a while, I can imagine. He's an impressive quarterback, and he's had a great start to his career since he was drafted in 2020. And this is a team that's also got a strong matchup, I would say, against the Jaguars defense. You consider that Justin Herbert is an outstanding passer. This is one of the lead passing offenses in the country here. They're going up against the Jaguars defense that is especially vulnerable in the pass defense. They're 28th against the pass this season in the league, which is, that places you as the 5th to worst team in the league in pass defense. So, for the Chargers, that's a good matchup. And I think that's honestly when a game is expected to be as close as this one is, you got to look for any edge possible, and that's definitely a big edge for the Chargers here. But for the Jaguars, first time in the playoffs since 2017, this team is a bit of an underdog in the playoffs. They are an underdog to the Chargers in this game, but this team has been impressive. They've once again improved dramatically the past couple of years, considering they've been a bottom feeder in the league. They were like 1-15 just a couple of years ago, but here they are 9-8 and back in the playoffs. They won the division. They won the AFC South, which is a huge deal for this team that's been once again struggling since their last playoff appearance, which was in 2017. Trevor Lawrence is playing at his best that he ever has, quite honestly. You look at his career and you look at his stats this season, Trevor Lawrence is playing really well. And that's something to keep in mind. This is the Jaguars team that I will say this as well. No matter what happens in this game, doesn't matter. I think the Jaguars are a team that could be a contender very much in the next few years. Trevor Lawrence is coming around. This offense is looking good all around. This team is once again really improved. I think the future of the Jags is definitely bright, and this team has been through obviously a couple of terrible seasons recently, but I do think heading into the future, Jaguars are a team to keep an eye on despite what happens in this game. But that said, let's get the prediction here for the Chargers and the Jaguars coming up here in the wild card round. I'll be going with the Chargers to win this game. 27-23 is my predicted final score. This one I went back and forth on, and if you remember my NFL playoff predictions that came out on Sunday night after the Packers-Lions game, I did actually pick the Jaguars to win this game, but looking more in depth into this matchup now, I will be taking the Chargers. This is a game that I expect to be close. Could absolutely go either way, but I do like Justin Herbert and the Chargers to get the win here in the end. I think the Chargers, this is a long time coming now. This has been a solid team. They just haven't made the playoffs in the past few years. They're finally back in the playoffs. You got Justin Herbert, who I think is an outstanding quarterback, and he plays well in high-pressure situations. And this is one of those here in the playoffs. And I think in the end, LA Chargers, I like this team to get the win, 27-23, but I do think the Jaguars keep it close, and I wouldn't be surprised one bit if we saw them get the win. It's another home game. It's a night game, so a good environment for Jacksonville, I can imagine. But in the end, I'm going to go with the Chargers to win this one once again, 27-23. So I'll say 55% towards the Chargers. Once again, could easily go either way. Over-under is 47.5. I'll be taking the over for this one and the Chargers to cover the spread in the end. I think the over here because of the Jaguars defense. They're vulnerable against the pass. So I do think the Chargers can score upwards of 30 in this game. The Jaguars, I do expect to score some points as well. I do think Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne against this Chargers rush defense, I do think they score some points. But in the end, 23 won't be enough, and they lose this game 27-23. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, and I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.